You're in a winning position, up $800. Your target is 1,000. But that voice whispers, what if it keeps going? What if you could make 2,000, 3,000? Just hold a little longer, so you hold. The position reverses. 800 becomes 600, then 400. Then you're at break even. Then you're stopped out for a $200 loss. Greed turned a winning trade into a loser. Or maybe it's the opposite. You enter a trade, it immediately moves against you. $50 down, $100 down. Your stop is at 200, but that voice screams, get out now before it gets worse. Cut it. Just cut it. So you exit at a $150 loss. 30 seconds later, the position reverses and runs to your original target. Fear took you out right before the win. Greed and fear. The two emotions that destroy more trading accounts than any bad strategy ever could. Today we're breaking down how to actually manage these emotions. Not eliminate them, because you can't. Not ignore them, because that doesn't work. Manage them. We're covering why greed and fear are useful signals when understood correctly, how they show up in disguise throughout your trading day, and the specific framework I use to make decisions when these emotions are at their loudest. Quick thing before we get started, I put together a resource that helps with exactly this situation. It's the Professional Trader's Emergency Protocol. One page that tells you what to do when greed says hold longer, or fear says exit early. You can print it out and keep it right at your trading desk. Link is in the description, totally free. And if you're new here, hit subscribe. We're building the complete mental game of trading, putting out psychology breakdowns every week that actually help you trade better. All right, let's dive in. Here's what most trading psychology content gets wrong about greed and fear. They tell you these emotions are bad. They tell you to eliminate them. They tell you that professional traders don't feel greed or fear. That's completely false. Professional traders feel greed and fear constantly. The difference is they've learned to interpret these emotions as information rather than instructions. When you feel greed, your brain is telling you something. It's saying, there's potential reward here. I want more of this. This is valuable. That information is actually useful. The problem isn't the feeling. The problem is when you let that feeling override your trading plan. When you feel fear, your brain is also telling you something. It's saying, there's potential danger here. I could lose this. I need to protect myself. Again, that's useful information. The problem is when fear causes you to exit positions that meet your criteria or avoid taking trades that align with your edge. The amateur tries to not feel these emotions. The professional feels them, acknowledges them, and then asks, is this emotion giving me information about the market? Or is it just giving me information about my own mental state? Most of the time, greed and fear are telling you about your mental state, not about the market. When you feel greed, the market hasn't changed. Your position hasn't changed. Your edge hasn't changed. What changes your emotional relationship to the unrealized profit? When you feel fear, the market action that triggered it was probably within normal variance for your strategy. What changed is your emotional tolerance for that variance. Understanding this distinction changes everything. You stop fighting the emotions. You start observing them. And observation creates the space between feeling and action. That space is where professional trading happens. Now, let me break down how greed shows up in trading, because it's not always obvious. There are actually 5 distinct flavors of greed, and most traders experience all of them. The first flavor is profit extension greed. This is what I described in the opening. You're in a winning position. You're near your target, but you want more. You convince yourself that this could be the big one. You move your target higher. Or you just don't take profit when your original plan says to. What's actually happening here is that your brain is recalculating expected value on the fly based on emotion rather than logic. Your plan said, I'm risking 200 to make 600, 3 to 1. That's good enough. But once you're up 400, your brain says, why settle for 600 when I could make 1,000? The problem is, your plan was based on your edge. Your edge doesn't change because you're currently winning. The probabilities are the same. What changed is that seeing unrealized profit triggered your reward system, and now you want more reward. Professional traders recognize this feeling and use it as a signal. When you catch yourself thinking about moving your target or holding past your exit, you ask, is this greed talking? Or has the market structure actually changed in a way that justifies adjusting my plan? 9 times out of 10, it's just greed. The structure is the same. Your original plan was correct. Take the profit. The second flavor is position size greed. You're looking at a setup. It meets your criteria. You've calculated your position size based on your rules. But that voice says, this is such a good setup. I should go bigger. This is my trade. I should risk more to make more. What's happening is your brain is conflating confidence in the setup with certainty about the outcome. These aren't the same thing. A high probability setup is still a probability, not a certainty. Going bigger doesn't increase your probability of winning. It only increases the magnitude of loss if you're wrong. Professional traders use the same position size on every trade that meets criteria, regardless of how confident they feel. They know that feeling extra confident is often when you're most vulnerable to being wrong. The market doesn't care about your confidence level. Your edge is the same whether you feel great about it or mediocre about it. The third flavor is setup forcing greed. You haven't traded in 3 days. You're watching the market. Nothing quite meets your criteria, but you're getting impatient. That voice says, there's opportunity here. You're missing out. Just take something. Anything. What's happening is you're experiencing opportunity cost anxiety. Your brain doesn't like inaction. It feels like doing nothing is the same as losing money. But in trading, doing nothing when setups aren't there is exactly what you should be doing. Opportunity cost only matters if you're missing actual opportunities. Forcing trades that don't meet criteria isn't capturing opportunity. It's creating losses. Professional traders are comfortable with inaction. They understand that trading is not a job where you get paid by the hour. You don't make more money by trading more often. You make money by trading only when your edge is present. Sometimes that means watching for hours without placing a single trade. That's not wasted time. That's discipline. The fourth flavor is recovery greed. You took a loss. Now you're looking at the next setup. Your normal position size is X. But that voice says, if I just go a bit bigger on this one, I can make back what I lost and then some. One good trade and I'm back to even. This is actually a hybrid of greed and revenge trading. You're not just trying to recover the loss. You're trying to recover it quickly. You're impatient to get back to even. That impatience is greed wearing a different mask. Professional traders don't try to make back losses in one trade. They understand that if they're down $500, they're down $500. Their job is not to get back to even by tomorrow. Their job is to execute their strategy correctly over time. If the strategy has an edge, the losses get recovered naturally through normal trading. Trying to accelerate that recovery usually just creates bigger losses. The fifth flavor is comparison greed. You see someone else's trade. They made $5,000 on one position. You look at your account. You made $400 this week. Oh, that voice says, I should be making more. I'm leaving money on the table. I need to trade bigger. I need to take more trades. What's happening is you're comparing outcomes without comparing context. You don't know their account size. You don't know their risk tolerance. You don't know how many losses they took that they didn't post. You're seeing one data point and using it to judge your entire trading approach. Professional traders don't compare their results to others. They compare their current performance to their own historical baseline. Am I executing better this month than last month? Is my win rate consistent with my strategy's expected win rate? Is my average risk to reward on target? Those are the only comparisons that matter. Now, let me break down how fear shows up in trading. Tough fear is even more insidious than greed because it disguises itself as prudence. It makes you think you're being smart when you're actually being controlled by emotion. The first flavor of fear is premature exit fear. You're in a position. It's moving in your direction. Then it pulls back slightly. Your brain screams, it's reversing, get out. Lock in the profit. Don't let this turn into a loss. So you exit. Then it continues in your original direction and hits what would have been your target. Fear of losing an unrealized profit cost you the realized profit you were supposed to make. What's actually happening is your brain is treating unrealized profit as if it's already yours, then experiencing the pullback as a loss. But the profit wasn't yours yet. The pullback is normal price action. You planned for this when you set your target. Your target wasn't based on straight line movement. It was based on the expectation that price would move toward your target with normal volatility. Professional traders expect pullbacks. They plan for them. When they see normal volatility, they don't react. They wait for their actual exit signal. The only time they exit early is when the market structure changes in a way that invalidates their original thesis. Normal pullback volatility doesn't invalidate anything. It's just noise. The second flavor is entry paralysis fear. You have a setup. It meets all your criteria. Everything aligns. But that voice says, what if this is the one that fails? What if I'm wrong? Maybe I should wait for more confirmation. Maybe I should sit this one out, so you don't enter. Then it works exactly as your strategy predicted. The fear of being wrong cost you a trade that met all your criteria. What's happening is you're letting recent losses or near misses create doubt about your process. Your brain is pattern matching to recent pain and trying to protect you from experiencing it again. But your edge doesn't disappear because you took a loss last week. If the criteria are met, the probability of success is the same as it always was. Professional traders take every trade that meets criteria, regardless of how they feel about it. They know that if they start cherry-picking which qualifying trades to take based on fear, they're no longer trading their edge. They're trading their emotions. And emotions don't have an edge. The third flavor is stop placement fear. You're planning a trade. You know where your technical stop should be. But that voice says, that's too far. What if it goes straight to my stop? I'll lose too much. Let me tighten the stop. So you place the stop closer than your plan says. The trade triggers. Price immediately hits your tight stop, then reverses and goes to target without you. Fear of the loss amount caused you to take a loss you didn't need to take. What's happening is you're trying to control your emotional comfort level by adjusting your stop rather than adjusting your position size. The right stop placement is determined by market structure, not by how much you're comfortable losing. If the loss amount feels too big, the solution is smaller position size, not tighter stop. Professional traders place stops based on technical invalidation points. If that creates a risk amount that's too large for comfort, they reduce position size until the risk fits their plan. They never compromise stop placement to accommodate position size. That's backwards. The stop is determined by the market. The position size is determined by the stop. The fourth flavor is profit target fear. You're planning your trade. You calculate a reasonable target based on structure, but that voice says, that's too ambitious. It probably won't go that far. Let me take a smaller target so I'm more likely to win. So, you lower your target. The trade works, hits your reduced target, you exit. Then it continues to what would have been your original target. Fear of the trade not working caused you to reduce your reward and destroy your risk-to-reward ratio. What's happening is, you're optimizing for win rate instead of optimizing for expected value. Your brain likes winning. It feels good. So you start making trades that are more likely to win, even if they make less money per win. But trading isn't about maximizing wins. It's about maximizing expected value. A 60% win rate at 2-to-1 is better than an 80% win rate at 1-to-1. Professional traders set targets based on what the market structure suggests is possible, not based on what feels comfortable. If that means they win less often but make more per win, they're fine with that. They understand the math. Expected value is what matters. The fifth flavor is overtrading fear. This one seems backwards, but hear me out. You take a loss. Now you're scared of falling further behind. That voice says, I need to make it back. I need to trade more. I need to find setups. I can't just sit here. So, you take trades that don't quite meet criteria. You force setups. You overtrade. And those fear-driven trades usually lose, putting you further behind. Fear of missing recovery opportunities caused you to create more losses. This is fear disguised as urgency. You feel like inaction is dangerous, but in trading, Action without edge is what's dangerous. Inaction is often the highest expected value decision you can make. Professional traders are more likely to reduce trading frequency after losses, not increase it. They know that when you're emotionally activated, your judgment is compromised. The smart move is to slow down, not speed up. Now, let me give you the framework for managing greed and fear in real time. This is the system that allows you to feel these emotions without letting them control your decisions. The framework has 4 steps: recognition, labeling, questioning, and choosing. Step 1 is recognition. You learn to recognize when greed or fear is active. This takes practice, but the signals are consistent. Greed feels like urgency toward action. Fear feels like urgency towards safety. Both create a sense that you need to do something right now. The key signal is the urgency itself. Your trading plan doesn't create urgency. Your plan says, when X happens, do Y. That's calm. That's systematic. And when you feel urgent, that's emotion talking. So the first step is just noticing, I feel urgent right now. I feel like I need to act immediately. That recognition creates a pause, and the pause is where you regain control. Step 2 is labeling. Once you recognize the urgency, you label which emotion is driving it. Am I wanting to hold this position past my target because I'm greedy for more profit? Am I wanting to exit early because I'm afraid of losing what I have? Am I wanting to skip this trade because I'm afraid of being wrong? Am I wanting to size up because I'm greedy for faster recovery? The label matters because different emotions require different responses, but the act of labeling itself is powerful. When you name the emotion, you create psychological distance from it. You shift from, I need to act, to, I'm experiencing an emotion that wants me to act. That's a completely different mental state. Step 3 is questioning. Once you've labeled the emotion, you ask, is this emotion giving me information about the market or just information about my internal state? Has anything actually changed about my setup, my edge, my plan? Or is this just my brain reacting to unrealized profit, recent loss, or social comparison? Most of the time, nothing has changed except your emotional state. The market is doing what markets do. Your plan is still valid. The emotion is just noise. But sometimes, questioning reveals that something actually has changed. Maybe you're feeling fear because you just noticed a key level that invalidates your thesis. That's useful information. That fear is telling you to reconsider, and you should listen. The question separates signal from noise. If nothing external has changed, it's noise. If something external has changed that your rational mind agrees is significant, it's signal. Step 4 is choosing. Based on your questioning, you make a choice. If the emotion was just noise, you follow your original plan despite the feeling. If the emotion was pointing to real signal, you adjust your plan based on the new information. This is key. You're not suppressing emotion. You're not pretending you don't feel it. You're feeling it, examining it, and then deciding whether it's useful. Sometimes it is, usually it isn't. But you made the decision consciously instead of letting the emotion decide for you. Let me walk through a real example of how this works in practice. You're in a position. You're up $600. Your target is $800, but you're thinking, this could go to $1,200. Maybe I should hold longer. Recognition. I'm feeling urgent about holding past my plan. That's emotion talking. Labeling. This is greed. I want more profit than my plan called for. Questioning. Has anything changed about the setup? No, the structure is the same. My edge was targeting 800. Greed is just reacting to seeing unrealized profit. Choosing. This is noise, not signal. I'm exiting at 800 as planned. You still felt the greed, but you didn't let it control you. You examined it, determined it was noise, and acted according to plan. Here's another example. You have a setup forming. It meets criteria. But you're hesitating. You're thinking, maybe I should wait for more confirmation. Recognition. I'm feeling hesitant. That's emotion talking. Labeling. This is fear. I'm afraid of this trade failing. Questioning. Has anything changed about my criteria? No. This meets all of them. Fear is just reacting to recent losses. Choosing. This is noise, not signal. I'm entering according to plan. The framework doesn't eliminate the emotions, it processes them. You're using your conscious mind to evaluate what your emotional mind is telling you. Sometimes the emotion is right. Usually it's just reactive, but you're deciding, not reacting. One last thing about this framework. You need to practice it during calm periods, not just during emotional periods. When you're not in a trade, sit down and write out, what does greed feel like in my body? What does fear feel like? What thoughts come with each emotion? This pre-programming makes recognition faster when you're actually trading. You've already mapped the terrain. When greed shows up, you recognize it immediately because you know what it feels like. So, to wrap this up, greed and fear aren't enemies to eliminate. They're signals to interpret. Greed says there's potential reward. Fear says there's potential danger. Both can be useful if you examine them instead of obeying them. Greed shows up as profit extension, position size expansion, setup forcing, recovery urgency, and comparison anxiety. Fear shows up as premature exits, entry paralysis, stop tightening, target reduction, and overtrading from urgency. The four-step framework is recognition, labeling, questioning, and choosing. You recognize the emotion, label which one it is, question whether it's signal or noise, then choose your action based on your plan. Professional traders feel greed and fear constantly. They just don't let those feelings make their trading decisions. The emotion happens, then the framework happens, then the decision happens. In that order. If you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel. We're going deep on every aspect of trading psychology that actually matters. Next week, we're covering position sizing psychology and why most traders get this completely wrong even when they understand the math. Also, grab that emergency protocol from the description. Covers exactly what to do when greed and fear are screaming at you in real time. Print it out, keep it visible, use it. The traders who learn to manage greed and fear are the ones who make it past year 3. Most don't. Be the exception.